Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and we're going to take a look today at one that I have eyeballed before. This is obviously part of the Valiant Defense series by David Thompson, published by DVG Games. This is Soldiers in Postmen's Uniforms, which I did cover a prototype version of. Make sure you check out the little playthrough I did there showing gameplay and all that good stuff. But the retail version did release. He was nice enough to send me a copy. I wanted to show you guys, the final version of the game. Obviously, really well done. I'm still waiting on him to add Gimpy's Folly to the Valiant Defense series. I'm gonna keep bugging until he makes it. It's coming. I'm telling you guys. But obviously, I always love everything David Thompson puts out. He really does a really good job with it. And got to mention Michael Kochman as well. Did help with Soldiers in Postmen's Uniforms. So let's take a look. A little box fart to start ourselves off. And the cool thing about this is, I think, one of the coolest things in the box, besides obviously the game itself, is this companion book that came with it. And this talks about the history of the whole thing, like what happened. We've got maps, we've got historical articles, we've got articles in here talking about the specific people that were involved in the whole scenario and everything that happened. This is going above and beyond, right? When it comes to a game, so many of us who are into wargaming love the history behind it, and to actually be able to read. I mean, look how thick this thing is. How many pages is this? Something like 40, 50 pages. Let's see, 45 pages. 45 pages worth of history that we get to read up about the game before we actually play it. I love that they include that. Look at this, maps showing how the battle took place. And this was in a post office, people fighting off the Nazi takeover, and they weren't going to win this battle. In this game itself, it's not about winning, it's about how long you last, because you really are up against overwhelming forces in this. But obviously so awesome that they included this. And look, they were actually there. Let's look at this picture here. That's Michael Kochman, Jane, I'm going to butcher that, Daniluk, and Mr. David Thompson there. Oh, that is so cool. Design notes on it. And then some little tidbits here about the game. So really, really, really cool that they included this. Like I said, one of my favorite parts. This is actually going to be added to the bathroom series. The magazines you keep in your bathroom to read while you're in there. Got our rule book. Looks very similar to everything. DVG has good rule books. We're not going to talk too much about this. Nice, good quality pictures, gloss, all that good stuff. If you've read Rulebook, you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Now we have a nice, big, beautiful mounted map. Let's lay it out a little bit, let you guys see how big this is. And it is very nicely mounted, I must say. All right, come on, fold out for me. Got 6 sections on this thing. Wow, look at this. All right, I'm having to stretch it out a little bit to fit on camera, and forgive the little bit of an overhead glare that I've got going on. I'm not in my office right now. For this battle, like so many in the Valiant Defense series, it's got multiple components. This one is the outside of the post office, right? So it shows all the avenues. Like I said, make sure you watch the playthrough that I did on this to explain all the game elements. But in here is the area that you're defending, and it's color-coded to represent what I'm getting ready to show you guys there on the right. And then the enemies are going to come in along these pathways at different points in the game, and depending on your morale. So really, really cool. And then we have our interior over here, and you guys can see me and the reflection. But it's all nice and color-coded. Entrances, different levels. We've got basement, ground floor, upper floors of the building. All your units will be in there fighting, and you've got little specific objectives that you're trying to do. If you've played a Valiant Defense series before, you understand the basic gist of the game. So, good components. We also have these when it comes to components. a nice stack of pre-rounded counters. Love it when they have the pre-rounded counters because you don't have to worry about the clipping, and these things just push out so nicely. Some of the enemy units here, SMGs, and then these are weapons that you can have for your troops, rifles, machine guns, grenades, cool stuff like that. On the back side of the counters, and you can see how the units are exhausted on their backside where they're grayed out. And we've got some more guys who can get involved. SS troops do get involved. You see they are a different color, have different stats as well. And then we got some armored fighting vehicles here at the bottom that get involved. More troops that you can use during gameplay. These are administrative counters here, like your action tokens, defense levels to determine how your barricades are holding up, things like that, ammo counters, movement counters, because you can move your people around the building. You're trying to hold off the Nazis as long as you possibly can from the siege. And then, let's see, we've got SS SMGs, some more troops, and these guys are color-coded. I don't remember them all off the top of my head on which colors were which. I think the white were just generic people fighting in the building. And then I think these guys might be the leaders. You can see they've got a little bit better stats, and then things like command or initiative that they get to apply as well. And then some more administrative counters, and obviously our grayed out backside. And then same thing here. Generic riflemen. These are the easier troops to take out. They're going to come in like your first wave. And then your second wave, you're going to start seeing heavier weapons like mortars and howitzers start getting involved. And then I think the armored fighting vehicles start coming in during the second wave as well. And then third wave, they hit you with everything. You're going to lose in the third wave. Like I said, this game is not about winning because they lose the battle, obviously. It's about how well you can hold off this overwhelming attack that's coming. And then see backside of our counters. And I believe these blue ones here are our civilians that were involved. I could be wrong on that. I think they're civilians. I'd have to eyeball it again just to be sure. And these are some crew-served weapons. Machine gunners emplaced. And then infantry gun down here, heavier weapon. These things, when they start popping out, you do have a chance to try to push them back. And it's basically, what are you going to do? You're going to push back the troops, or you're going to use your actions to try to weaken the heavier weapons that they're bringing in. You know, what's your biggest threat? Think of it kind of like states of siege. You're trying to hold off that just wave after wave after wave as long as you possibly can. I'll show the back sides of the counters again as well. Not a whole lot difference except for the fact that they do show exhausted for your troops. And then the few remaining counters here. And I do kind of like that they have this because it's pre-cut, so the sheet's already designed to hold these counters. But this way, it does kind of give you an option to jerry-rig extra counters. So let's say you did mess up a counter. You know, you spilled your coffee on it, or your kids drew over it with magic marker or whatever it is. You do have a few extra pieces. You could scan one, print it out, you know, glue it on, and you're good to go. It's nice to have a few extra pieces. No, I understand for production reasons, it just makes it easier for them, but it is nice to have the pieces just in case. And then some more infantry guns here at the top that do start coming in. These things really tear up your defenses for your building, so you want to try to clear these guys out as quick as possible. So we got 6 sheets of nice pre-rounded counters. Gotta give it to DVG on that one. Good quality on the components. So plenty of these. Mounted map, and then let's see what else we've got in the box. And this is just our player aids for the game, and this is all the different phases. Clearing phase, that's the end. Are these all one-sided? Yes, they are all one-sided. So escape phase is ending. Enemy phase was go there. So defense phase, yep. Okay. Basically, it would be like this. If I remember correctly, because moving was first and then your actions. So you can say your moving counter, actions, and then the different type of stuff you can do, like your command abilities, inspire, logistics, things like that. You do have non-combatants, like I said, who are in the building as well. You can try to suppress the enemy, push them back, all that good stuff. And this is a list of the different actions you can take as well. And it does nicely let you know whether or not it exhausts the defender or not. Most of them will exhaust the defender, obviously. Things like attacking with grenades, suppressing. And the game is designed so easily to be interpreted. So if you've played one of the Valiant Defense series before, there's a very good chance you're just going to pick this up and just roll with it, because the core foundation of the game is very similar. Like the numbers that you're looking at on the counters, generally whatever the number is in there is like how many dice you're going to roll. And if it's got a shield, it's like what number needs to be beat. You know, same for your troops. It makes it really easy to understand the game. And then after we have that, we have all enemy phase, and it goes down with what's going to happen with the enemy on their turn. Clearing phase, think of that as like the end of round, end of turn, and then the escape phase comes into play during a very specific point in the game where you are trying to escape, and that's towards the end of the third act, third round. When your morale hits a certain level, certain conditions in the game will trigger this, and that's going to determine how many points you get. You get more points if you get your non-combatants out, if you save so many people, that type stuff. You want to try to save those guys. And then obviously for holding the Nazis back as long as possible. And for the rest of our components, dice, which are to be expected. We have just some generic D6s and then some special dice that come into play, I believe, with placement for the enemy forces. So let's see, I think that one goes to 6. Yeah, there's like a 1 through 6 and then a 7 through 12 die to determine where enemy forces are going to go. So real nice that they included that. A bunch of wooden blocks for determining what's there. These will be used to signify things like barricades for your buildings. So if you've got a barricade that's holding the enemy forces back, you'll have a block there, showing stuff like that. They're used for just many mnemonic reminders, basically. So nice little packet of wooden blocks for you. And then the only other thing we have is a couple packs of cards, obviously, for the game itself. These are going to be the enemies coming in and sometimes the weapons they're using. And they are determined by their waves on which ones they're coming in. So real easy to determine, wave 1 cards, wave 2 cards, wave 3 cards, and when they're going to join the game. So you see, like for our submachine gunner here, roll and place 7 through 12. So you're using the 7 through 12 die, and it shows what lanes he's potentially going to come in on with the red and the white. Remember, on our big map here, it was all color-coded. Like I said, if you've played a Valiant Defense series game before, you're really going to pick this up. So many of the similar concepts, but it does cover these neat battles in history that so many people know nothing about. Like one of my favorites, and I hate to say it, but I still think it is my favorite in the series, is I'm always going to call it Castle Eiger, which was his second in the series. I never even knew that there was actually a battle in which German soldiers fought on the side of the Allies against SS troops. It was obviously really towards the late stage of the war. I think Germany had already surrendered, if I remember the history correctly. But the really loyalist SS troops were trying to take them on. So it was a handful of American troops, some Polish troops, some French troops, I think even, and then some just Wehrmacht soldiers fighting off these waves of SS soldiers there at the castle. And I'd never heard about this. And I've read, countless books on World War II, like I'm sure so many of you guys have. So that's what I always love about David's games, is that he covers these interesting battles and incorporates them into these kind of states of siege gameplay where you're holding off waves of enemies, but it fits for what was going on in real life. So yeah, obviously love it. Love the game. I definitely enjoyed it. If I think I'm remembering right, it's the third in the series. I know he's got a fourth one he's getting ready to release here soon. I can't remember the name of that one. I'll have to look that up. But Valiant Defense series, definitely worth checking out. Like I said, I still want to go Castle Eider. That one, Eider, whatever, is still my favorite. And I think it's because it's got that tank there at the front that you use defensively. This one, I would say, is more similar to Castle Eider in gameplay than the first one in his series, which was Pavlov's House. And Pavlov's House just had less of the tactical type gameplay. So with this one, you've got the house, right? The post office that you're defending, and then the outside view. It's similar in the castle. The castle is pretty much all that you have going on, and the troops are kind of invading on the outside of the castle. Whereas with Pavlov's House, you've got the grand strategic view, so you have to worry about over level of supplies, like bringing them in. And then you've got the tactical view outside the house that you're defending. And then you actually have there at the far left of the board, the house itself that you're defending. So different type of gameplay. It just depends on what you like. You're really not going to go wrong with any one of them in the series. If you want one that's a tense, like nail biter, I'd probably lean towards the second or the third, the soldiers or castle. If you want one that has more of a strategic feel where you're worrying more about supplies and has a little bit more randomness to it, because you can just get hit with like random hits that take out some of your supplies and weakens you, or they could miss with their artillery strikes and you get your forces in, I would go towards Pavlov's House. All right, that's going to be it for this one. Just a quick look here at soldiers and postmen's uniforms. Stay tuned because, like I said, he's got another in the series coming up, and I obviously will be covering it because I cover damn near everything that David puts out because he puts out good shit. Just got to say. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to put them down below. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.